Welcome to the Make It Happen podcast. My name is Melanie Moreno. I am a blogger, a content creator, a health coach, and most importantly, I will be your host. Join me for some fun and inspiring conversations with amazing individuals coming up now. Hello. Welcome back to the Make It Happen podcast. It was recently brought to my attention that I kind of swoon over my podcast guest. And honestly, it made me a little self-conscious for a second, but only for a second, because I genuinely love and admire everyone that I have on here. Also, here in the United States, I feel we have a culture that doesn't really encourage the expression of appreciation. What we tend to do a lot of here is praise individuals who have won things, created things, achieved things, accomplished things. My idea of appreciation, legitimate appreciation for someone else, has more to do with seeing who they are and recognizing their innate value outside of anything that they do or create or achieve. So with that being said, I put a lot of thought into who comes on here, and I knew just as soon as I started this podcast that I wanted to have today's guest on the show. In this episode, I'm joined by Israel Rodriguez. He's a creative in every sense of the word, which we definitely get into a conversation about in this episode. Also, he is my longtime best friend, and he knows me better than anyone else. He also shares my passion to make the world a better place through the interactions that occur on a daily basis, no matter how small they are. It's actually kind of funny. I've known him for a long time, and I remember years ago, I'd look at him and he always wanted so much more out of life than I could understand. He also wanted so much more out of me than I could understand. Like if he saw some sort of potential in me that I didn't really see in myself. I always just viewed him as someone with these huge aspirations, and I couldn't comprehend them because what he wanted was just beyond what I could imagine at the time. It wasn't until much later that I realized he has a skill and a quality to him that surpasses anyone I know. He's personally been one of my biggest expanders, and that makes me so grateful to say that about my best friend and to have him on here today. What I admire so much about him is that he has a way of bringing people together. I know he makes an impact on everyone that he meets, and he's helping people open up to their inner selves through his art and conversations and the community that he creates. He's moved around a couple of times, and it astounds me that he is able to bring people together that you wouldn't expect and create these alliances and friendships, and he just builds relationships with people so naturally. I admire that more than I can express. So I'm really excited to share some of his magic with you guys here today. I mean, I get to talk to him all the time, but I purposely saved up some good questions and tried to provoke some juicy stories out of him so that we could have some good stuff to tell y'all today. On a final note, we recorded what you are about to hear in the peak of California heat. It was summertime. Pretty sure it was over 110 degrees. We had no air conditioning. The windows were open, and you can probably hear some children and people passing by on the street because of that. And the least we could do was have a fan on to somewhat keep from melting. So it's not my best moment, not the best audio quality, and I apologize tremendously for that. But I hope you guys can still enjoy this episode. Maybe just don't use headphones for this one. There's a lot of good nuggets in here, so I didn't want to not publish it and have you guys miss out on all of the great things Israel has to say. So without further ado, let's just get straight on into this episode with Israel Rodriguez.
Yeah, they're my Kurt Vonnegut cup. My family gave me that Kurt Vonnegut cup. It's so cute. It's so cute, huh? And the more that I read from Kurt Vonnegut, the more I get the quotes. Yeah, it's very cool.
Like what? What's a good quote?
I was a victim of a series of accidents, as we all are. Sirens of Titan. I don't know.
You're always really good at remembering things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, right now it's book quotes, but before it was song quotes.
Yeah.
Like, you would always...
I still do that, like break into the song quotes and stuff. That's so cool. Alright.
Something like that.
We could close that if you like. It just would get a little hotter, but
it's okay.
We close it now, then get right to it.
How hot is it gonna get? Is it gonna get like...
What kind of questions? I don't even know how to answer that. A couple degrees hotter. Hold on.
No, let's leave it open. It's okay.
You sure? Because
yeah.
The kids are out of school.
It's 3:46. It's gonna be okay.
Good.
We're gonna be okay.
Sorry.
All right, we're gonna get into it.
Is it rolling?
So pop your can.
Is it rolling? I wanted to crack this while it's recording. That's all. This is what I've been waiting for.
Oh my gosh. Well, I was about to say, hi Israel, welcome to the Make It Happen podcast.
Huh.
You good?
What's up, Melanie?
What are you drinking there?
This is a beer from Mother Earth. It's called Cali Creamin'. It's pretty good, dude. Would you like to try it? Please try it, actually. It has vanilla in it. Yeah.
It tastes vanilla-y.
Nice.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, let me first have you start by introducing yourself to listeners.
I'm Israel Rodriguez. Older brother of 2. Pretty cute looking. Just ravishingly handsome. What else?
Okay, let me have you dive into your upbringing. How about that? Like, Tell me about what it was like growing up for you.
Nice. So, I grew up in a small town. Super tiny town, El Centro. And it was a cool place. Like, now I see how cool it was. But, like, at the time, it was just... I thought everyone lived in a town like El Centro. And now I'm living in San Diego. There you go. I'm living in San Diego now, and I realized that not everyone lives in a place or lived in a place like El Centro. That was that. I was very close to my family down there, and I thought that was just something everyone was like. Everyone did. Everyone was just close to their family. But I'm starting to see now that I think that's also like a side effect of the small town. It's just you gotta be close with them because you're gonna see them all the time. And it's too hot down there, so you never did anything. You just went to school and then you went back home. And then babysitters, like here in San Diego, everyone's like, yeah, I gotta hire a babysitter. And El Centro would be like, you're just going to grandma's or you're going to Dia's house. And you're always around family. So that was my upbringing. Very close to family, very close to just friends. We were just trapped in a bubble. Just that, but that was my upbringing. Just a lot of sense of a family and closeness. A lot of exploring. You want to get into that?
What do you mean by exploring?
Okay. I was an only child for 6 years until my brother was born. And so I have a lot of recollections of I just hung out by myself a lot. And it was like those first few years. But I remember just looking at insects a lot and hanging out outside. And just looking at things move. Because I didn't have like a PlayStation. I always wanted a PlayStation. I thought that was really cool, but I didn't have one. So I went outside and saw a bunch of ants. I remember ants. Like, ants are the most fascinating thing. I don't know why. I think of my childhood. I think of my grandma's house, and I think of ants. Like, just I would go into my grandma's kitchen. She'd be so mad. I don't know. Now I see why. I'd be so mad if my little brother did this or something. But I would grab like the trick cereal that she had, and I would just like leave them out, and I would see what the ants did with them. And it was so cool because it would be just one ant coming out, and he would sniff it or whatever ants do, feel it, and then then his other ant buddies would come as if like he called them over, like, yo dudes, there's some tricks over here, and then they would call some more, and it was just this cool little chain. I would just see stuff like that. I would look at spiders, and I would see the spiders eat their food and like wrap like animals in their web. That was pretty nuts. Yeah, so that was my upbringing: family and ants, and a lot of insects. And then finally, when I got friends a little later, that was pretty cool too. The ant watching kind of cut down, and eventually I don't watch ants anymore, unfortunately.
Then you started watching people.
And I started watching people. Yeah, that's what it is. You're right. And it's the same thing too. People look at the Trix cereal and they'll be like, "Oh, guys, like we got Trix over here," and then more people just come around. That's funny. Yeah, that is how it happened, I guess. Yeah, that was my upbringing. Just a lot of observing. Even when like my little brothers were born, and I started making friends, like I still feel like I was really good at just observing whatever I was at, just looking around. And so, yeah, that was it. That was cool.
That's kind of unusual for an older child. Like, that sounds like maybe something that a younger sibling would learn to do, like observe. Why do you think you were observant in that way? Are either of your parents like that?
No, but when I grew up, like I had young parents, so they were always working. So if they were like that, like, or if they weren't or were, like I didn't really know. Not that I was not close to them, but I would just come back after my days of exploring. Like, it really was like that. I would go to school, or I would go to grandma's house for the majority of the day. I would watch all this nature happen, or I'd watch all this stuff happen, whether it be at grandma's house. I would look at grandma's house too. She had all these candles everywhere, all these Jesus candles, and all this cool stuff that was just colorful and had symbols, and I saw my grandma praying this stuff. And then I would go outside and I see the ants like gathering, and then I would go home and I would watch Star Wars. That would be my time to cool down. I don't know why it was like. I think it's just because I would hang out with different people and a lot of different types of people too. Growing up, like if I was hanging out with grandma, and then I would go home and hang out with my parents, and I would go and hang out with my older Dia, who was like this punk rock skater lady. I remember going to her house with her boyfriend at the time, and I would play Tony Hawk. And she was way different than hanging out with my grandma, who would pray for me because I was playing Pokemon. And it was just a lot of different. I was observing all these different people, and I think that's probably why I kind of just had to. I was just hanging out with a bunch of different crowds, and I had to observe. And it's funny that you say that about observing the sibling thing, because I feel like the most observant of my siblings. Maybe it was the rules were switched, man. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Well, you also said that, yeah, like kind of jumping around to different households and being around different people. It sounds like also just being an only child for 6 years, you couldn't help but be observant in all those sort of situations. I think that also led to...
There was no explaining, like, no one explained anything. And so I just had to... I got oh, I got ant bites. Like, that's how I learned. And, like, I remember stumbling upon no one explained anything to me. And that's what happened. I would find cassettes, and no one would tell me what the heck they do, or what they were, or what I would hear from them. I always had to figure it out. And I would see someone put a cassette somewhere on a television, and I said, okay, when I get home, and I find my mom's cassettes, or my dad's cassettes, I'm put them in somewhere, because I saw this on TV. And it was just a bunch of figuring it out. It's cool. It's hype.
So we actually just got out of having one of your weekly art clubs. So I want to talk about that a little bit, about art and about creativity. Actually, there's a thought that I have in my head that it's a thought that comes every once in a while that you had once said. Actually, you said it earlier this year in January, I think. We were drawing or painting around what, and you had said, telling me in sort of a motivational sort of way, like, it's up to us, the creatives, to help inspire creativity in others. Perhaps you said it different, that's the way I recollect it, but can you talk a little bit about that and talk about how your creativity has sort of come about, because you haven't always considered yourself creative?
For sure. I totally think that those who have the ability to want to create, and whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's writing, like, if you have such an urge that you actually made something tangible to show because it was just that strong, just like being so hungry that you made yourself a sandwich, being so full of thoughts or something that you made yourself an album, that's important, and everyone, there's a lot of people that might go out there and make music, make songs, make paintings, but no one is gonna make the same thing. And I think that's just such a cool idea. Like, no one's ever gonna do the same thing. There's gonna be a lot of similar things, and if you can try to make something very, very, very similar, if you're actually trying, but I think at the end of the day, you're never gonna make the same thing if you have that energy to just go out and say, I think you gotta do it. You gotta, and I call it people creatives, but I think everyone has it to some degree. Just not everyone really hangs out with that part of their brain too much, for one reason or another, and that's okay. Like my parents, oh man, they're so creative. They're dudes that I would say I got everything from. Whether my ability to draw, my father was able to draw so well, and I didn't know this until I was an adult already. But that's because he just, again, everyone has it, but for whatever reason or another, he had a kid when he was young. He had to work, and he was raised in a house where it's like, you can't draw and be taken serious. So for whatever reason, he just never really thought that was something he needed to do, and that's okay. People will do what they gotta do. But for those who say, damn, I just have to draw, and I'm going to take time to do it, or I just have to play music and I'm going to take time to do it, I think that's awesome, and I think it's important, and you got to share that with people, It just makes it pretty here in life. I don't know, it's pretty. It's a pretty thing. It's a pretty thing. We just had art club right now, and it's cool because I gotta be honest with you. Every week I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm like, okay, we'll get together. We'll paint with the props, we'll write to a prompt, and I'm kind of winging it. I say, hey, this sounds like fun. I think I might like to do this. We go there, and yes, people have fun, and I think it's doing that and like other similar things. That I realized that like people kind of have it in them. Sometimes you just need that push, and it sounds so like so sportsy, so cliche. Well, yeah, we all have it in ourselves. So we just need to be pushed to be what we can become. But it's true in a way. I think that's why we all have heroes, and it's just human nature. Like we're scared sometimes to write. These people that I see once a week, they don't share their writing with me all the time, or they don't tell me that they're writing all the time, or they don't tell me that they like me. And when they go to the club, and then we give out these prompts, or we give out these ideas, and those who like are not so expressive, at least outwardly to other people, they come up with the best ideas, and I'm thinking, here I am just once a week finger painting and saying, yeah, let's paint the cover of your next novel, and then you got people. It just took that push to hear people's $1 million ideas. Like, it's fun, it's all fun and games, but really, if one of these people took one of the ideas that they had in this little art club and they actually like made a movie out of it, or made a story out of it, I'm hanging out with future millionaires, or I'm hanging out with future movie directors, I'm hanging out with future authors. It's nuts. If they just I just hope they build on that. And I don't know, it's cool to be pushing people every once in a while, and we can't do it all the time, but it's fun, it's good. It's a good thing. You gotta do it.
Can you also talk about how you feel like, what was your the way some people have a spiritual awakening? What was your creative awakening? Because I think that's also worth noting.
That's a lot. That's a big one. But
well, however you want to.
Yeah, however. Okay. I remember. I would say like I'm like really broken way back. It was definitely music that really like. Okay. I used to write. I used to like writing a lot. And I remember in second grade, every day we would have this journal entry time in the morning. We would have prompts. There was one that really stuck out with me, and it was you gotta create a new flavor of candy. And like describe your new candy. You're making this new candy bar. And I had the funnest time answering that one. And for what we had so many prompts back in second grade. For some reason, that one totally sticks out. I remember mine was like this chocolate bar with like strawberry oozing out from the insides and this feeling. And I had so much fun describing something that had not existed yet. Which, like, I'm sure it was just an accumulation of all these candies that I liked. I just bunched them up into one. But it was so cool. Like, to this day, I feel like I still have the same image of the candy bar that I created in my head back in second grade. I can still imagine that same candy bar. I remember sometime mid-year until second grade. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it was that journal entry. My teacher, like, put like a real descriptive, good job, like super creative. And I remember feeling the praise I felt for just imagining, that was super cool. I think that's when I started to realize that creating stuff like is powerful. Like you can get praised for it. That's pretty cool. I did a lot of drawing. I did a lot of playing with my action figures growing up, and that was fun. I created my own little world in my head. I was happy with it. That was real cool. It wasn't until I got made my first instrument in the 8th grade. I got my guitar. And it was just a lot of learning. I was trying to learn a lot of songs. And then once I learned all these chords, I realized you can kind of make whatever dish you want to make. You can share it. I like music, but I think what I really like most is the fact that you can make anything you want. It's such a silly thing to say, but it's such a powerful. I had the power to put whatever notes. I mean, for better or for worse, it might not have sounded like the next Led Zeppelin song, but I could have put it out there with whatever purpose, and it would have been my own. I made that, and that was really cool. And then, that was the guitar. I felt like such a rock star. It was so cool. And then I got my bass. It was given to me by my step grandfather. It was he was getting rid of. His church was getting rid of a bass. And he was maybe you play guitar. Let's you want a bass? And I remember thinking, bass. What can we do with that? And then I got the bass. And I think I tried so hard to just be so in your face with it. I just wanted people to notice me because I always thought, oh yeah, you play bass, you're always in the background. I was like, that's not fair. That's not cool. I was playing with some bands and playing as a bass and cool bass lines. I was okay with being in the back. I always felt I'm just helping people out. And then I feel like it wasn't until I started jamming with my own band and writing songs my own way, and I could put whatever bass line I wanted into there. And I thought there was rules to it. I thought there was rules to music. I think that's definitely where my creativity started picking up, when I realized, wait, I can literally create whatever I want. Whether it's a bass line that sounds bom, 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 or it's one that's all over the dang place. I can do that. It's all about, just how much time you want to work into it. But I can do that. And it was definitely making music with the way I wanted to make music. Not, hey, can you play this for me? Can you play that? It was nah, I'm just going to do this. Let's see how it goes. That's when it really picked up. That's when I was like, yo, I can do anything here as far as creating goes. So I was playing a lot of music, and music gave me a lot of freedom to just put out ideas in any way they came. And that was important to me. And then I just thought, okay, well, music, it is. I'm an artist that just does music. That's all I can do. Because that's how it is. You just pick a category, and then you're in that category, and that's all. And then I did a lot of, I moved to San Diego, and then I moved to Sacramento, just to explore, just to observe more ants. And then up there in Sacramento, I just got exposed to a lot of different types of people. And then up there in Sacramento, I ended up taking some shrooms. And that was pretty wild. That was, there was a lot of thoughts that came to my brain, and a lot of colors, a lot of things that were coming to me, and I had realized that how much I was limiting my creativity. And I love music. It's always going to have a special thing in my heart, but when you create, you can create in any way. I always associate creating with music But then taking the shrooms, I disassociated it, and I realized being creative, just creating anything is its own superpower. It's its own, in a way, it's its own instrument. You have that if you learn how to, channel that energy into creating. It's a mindset. You can take it anywhere. You can go and you can take it to your conversations you have day to day. After that experience, I went on a sketchbook, and I'd never bought a sketchbook. Like, I would doodle on my homework sometimes. But let me tell you, they're just circles and eyeballs or something that's super lame. And but then I went and just was like, yo, I'm gonna try to start drawing. That's really cool. And I just started doing that. This is not like a miracle story. I didn't start drawing the best drawings in the world. No, I drew more circles and eyeballs. And then I started trying to draw this and I had a great time. And I'd never touched paintings. I'd never touched paints. I'd never touched markers or pens. I just was like, I'm just to creative music. It wasn't until then I was like, creativity's not, it's just music. It's not just art. It's the person, and you just gotta practice it. You gotta not practice it. You gotta be okay with letting it out. Be cool with it. And so now, that was in 2017. So that wasn't even that long ago, but since then, I feel like just that mindset, kind of making that realization that creativity is its own little flower to water. I've been making music still. I've been drawing. I've been writing. I've been watering that creativity plant, and it's felt great. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic thing, and I think, man, what if I just thought I had to play music all the time? What if I just thought I couldn't do any of that? That would have been sad. That would have been really sad. So yeah, I mean, all those instances are the ones that are coming to mind that can say right now, that's what I'm creating right now. That's how I'm creating. That's how I'm thinking right now. It's fun. It's fun up here. It's a fun time.
So it sounds like you've kind of jumped around in terms of what creative avenues you pursue. I mean, yeah, you started with music, and right now I know that you do different types of painting. You work with different mediums, writing. You're a creative in very different ways. Do you ever feel the pressure to sort of? I mean, you said it when you were growing up, or even a few years ago. You said that you felt like you had to stick to music. How do you have this identity for yourself that allows exploration in different fields when I feel like we're in a society that really wants to put you in a box and really wants to have people focus on one thing?
It's hard. I mean, it's something that before anything you gotta be okay with. You yourself have to be okay with it. Like, I'm gonna be okay with not being content. And sometimes people hate on you, like, just do something. Or like, I'm working with coffee right now. That's cool, man. That's chilling. I promise you, that's not how I want to die. But on the side, like, I'm feeling just wonderful on the inside. I'm making all of this stuff. Every day is either it's a new drawing, it's a new painting, it's a new bass line, it's a new book that I'm reading, it's a new sentence that I'm writing. That's wicked. That's super wicked. That's rewarding. That's how you're okay with that. I feel like that's how you become okay with feeling okay with creativity. That's how you be okay with your creativity. That's how you be okay with the fact that your mind is going to jump in different directions. And you're right. Everything is society nowadays. It totally is super, put in a box. You gotta grow up and make sure you're focused on this, make sure you're focused on that. And that's cool, but that's where you got a lot of sad people who, like, sad focused people, but sad people who you hear the classic, like, man, I could have done this, I should, regrets, and that's because you put yourself in a box. I'm glad that I'm doing all this stuff, because I would hate in the future to say, damn, I should have drawn more. I should have wrote more poems. I should have just done something a little more. Like, I don't want to say that. In fact, like, if something were happening to me today, I'm on my deathbed, I could totally say that I was okay with doing other stuff. And people gotta be okay with doing a lot of different stuff. I think it's just human nature. I think everyone wants to just do a lot of stuff. Just get into a lot of things, explore new ideas, and
You've said that before. I've heard you say multiple times that you're okay. If you died today, like, you'd be okay with everything. Well, I've never understood what you mean by that, because I think, like, well, don't you want to, like, travel, or don't you want to experience, I mean, some people really want the experience of, like, being married and having a family, or experiences of, I don't know, like, anything and everything in between and outside that, like, so what do you mean by that?
Yeah, no, there's a lot. Oh, yeah, there's a lot I could still do, but I feel like if you look back, I don't know. At least for myself, and I like to think everyone else too. But you just gotta, like, be observant. You gotta just really look at the details of the life you live. If I look back, there's a lot I can do. But there's a lot I already did. Like, and I've made wonderful friends in different parts of at least the state. I moved up and down. I made from everywhere. Friends from here, friends from there. I've made wonderful art, at least by my standards. I left behind footprints, man, and that's cool. What? Everything else on top of that for me is like an added bonus. It'd be cool to travel. Though I'm not gonna lie, I don't feel like I have that travel bug that everyone has. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to France. That would be cool. That'd be fun to do. You can also buy a lot of paints with all that Spain money. Cool bass guitars. No, traveling would be something I want to do, but again, it's just everything from there would be added.
It sounds like maybe, like, you've been able to look at areas that you're content in your life, or areas that have brought you, like, appreciating areas of your life right now, and also things in the past, like looking at those moments with appreciation instead of looking at them, like, in wishful thinking.
Yeah, like, what more could I had back then when I was hanging out with everybody and having a good time, or like where else could I have been? Yeah, it is a kind of a mindset you just kind of gotta switch to thinking. I have like things I still want to do, absolutely, but I also done a lot of things that I wanted to do, and that means something. That's a cool thing. That's a really cool thing to say. I think everyone can say that. You just gotta do a lot of reflection. Oh man, I've done a lot of reflection. You gotta do a lot of thinking, and you're gonna be sad sometimes. I get sad sometimes. You're gonna be wishful sometimes. You're gonna be fearful sometimes. To just look back and be like, dang, that was cool. Everything that led me to this point where I'm at, almost 24 years, some of it was pretty cool. And to be honest, like, some people don't even get this choice to have this much life. How can you be mad that you didn't get what you wanted? And be mad at it. It's cool that you have that. You have that opportunity to kind of live.
You said that you've done a lot of the things that you wanted to do. How did you first start to even come to that? I mean, sometimes I'll have conversations with people and ask, like, well, what are you interested in doing? Or, like, you know, what appeals to you? And the answer is just, I don't know. So how'd you figure that part of yourself out to enough to even be able to say, like, I've done the things that I wanted to do?
Yeah, I was told a lot to like, make sure you do it like this, make sure you do it like that. Especially for like family and stuff. My parents were young. I think they were just they tried to give me, you know, what they thought was best for me, and that's cool. They were probably just afraid because they had a lot of troubles here and there. You come to that way of thinking because, you know, eventually, if you focus on all the things you didn't do or haven't done, you know, you're gonna be sad. It's gonna be a sad time. I think I've had some low times. I've had a lot of low times, and it became easier to, instead of just wondering what could I have done differently, why does this happen, what's going on. It does you better to just be like, well, hey, I made it this much. I've done this much. I made this much. I connected this much. I laughed this much. I hung out with so many people. I danced this much. I played this much music. It's just listening to all that is a lot more fun than the alternative. Man, I haven't done anything. I need to do more. And it came to that because, you know, there's times where it got hard. And obviously that way of thinking wasn't doing me any good. So you kind of have to just adjust. Better.
What's the biggest challenge you feel you've ever had to face?
My parents' divorce probably was the biggest thing, and is, you know, every day it's a new dynamic that you learn. Everything is changing slowly and steady, but you know, it changes. Especially as an adult, this happened last year. It happened last year, and so I was old enough to understand the complexity of emotions and feelings and insecurities and just, you know, it's so cool to just think that everything's black and white and things happen because of this and things happen because of that. But I was old enough to know that it's not like that. When that happened, I wish it could just be like, oh, it's happened because of this, it happened because of that, and then that's how you can think about it anymore. But unfortunately, it's not. You know, when things like that happen, there's layers and layers of reasons, thoughts, ideas, pains, struggles. There's just layers and layers of it coming from all sides, coming from the children involved, from the spouses involved. There's a lot, and above all, like, these are your family. You know, these are people that raised you. These are people that raised me. So that was rough on me. As I said, I was very family oriented, and I still am, but it's just different. And I used to think that different was bad, that different was sad. And that kind of goes along to just with the way I kind of start thinking about things. I could have sat down and kept myself in a place that was just dark. And be like, well, why did it happen? I kept on asking questions. I could have done that, or I could have just taken a step back, look at the people involved, try to understand, and just realize what I do have. Not what I did have and lost, but what I do have. I'm grateful that I still have both my parents. Grateful that they taught me what they did. Grateful that I have my two younger brothers. Like, grateful grateful that they helped me. Not only did they help me in the past, but they're still helping me now, just supporting me in the person I'm trying to be. I'm grateful for them. That was definitely the hardest thing. Just going through that again. I thought I had the perfect family. I told everyone, man, when you meet my family, you're done. Like, they're the coolest people ever. They're the coolest family. They're so tight. We have dinner all the time. We laugh. We can talk about this. We can talk about that. And then, I felt like I was lying. Last October, when I found out, I was like, dang, like, what am I going to tell everybody? No, it wasn't just that, but I truly believed that. It wasn't some facade that I was just like, yeah, everybody, like, I have a perfect family, look at me. I truly thought I had it. I thought, yeah, I'm going to have kids. I'm going to have the coolest grandparents that just love each other so dang much. I'm going to go to grandma's house. This would be super wicked. I truly thought it was just going to be so cool, and I was in control of that future. I thought, that's such a selfish thought. Like, I thought I was going to have this family because I wanted it to be just like that. I think it was then, in 2018, as a 23, 24-year-old, that I realized I don't have control of a lot of the things I thought I had control of. I have control of things. I can dress myself and stuff, but I don't have control of the future that way. And I think that's why it goes hand in hand with, like, traveling and doing, being a parent. That if that happens, that'll be cool. Right now, I think I thought, I don't have control of the future, so maybe let's not stress about that so much you'll miss. It was that divorce, man, that really hit me. It hit me in the brain, and it just made this loud blah 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 kind of sound, and yeah, it's cool that I'm talking about it now. I think had you asked me last year, it wouldn't have been as fun of a conversation, but it took a lot of practice, a lot of sitting down, and it took some sad days, it took some crying, it took some writing, it took some asking questions why, it took some communicating with everyone, with myself, and it took a lot, and it's taking a lot, but I'm definitely in a better place now, and if anything, it totally has helped me grow, it's helped me be content with what I have done, and it was rough, but you kind of just gotta stick through it and not let it break you.
I can definitely see how, now connecting that to what you were saying before about appreciating what you have and appreciating things you've done. I can see how this is all connected.
Yeah, I probably should start with that. Yeah. Hey, what's up? I'm Israel. My parents are divorced. No, but it does all connect, and who knows if you had this interview and my parents were still together, and I wonder what kind of conversation I'd be saying. And to be very honest, I don't think that Israel, in that alternate, dimension where his parents are still hanging out, married, I don't know if he would have said, "Yeah, man, if I died today, I'd be happy." I don't think he would have said that. So, it sucks that it happens, but there's the trade-off. It's you can learn something.
Another trait that I feel you have is high self-worth. And not high self-worth like, this is unrelated to like being conceited or self-indulgent. Like self-worth just means, feeling worthy and confident in yourself and feeling deserving of things, not entitled, but just deserving. So I feel like you have high self-worth. Do you see that as being related to appreciation for the little things and everything you've done? Do you see these things as being interconnected?
Yeah, well, definitely. That self-worth thing, I think, has sprung. That was something that definitely has started. My self-worth was a big old thing flooded. I remember it was in high school. I had a lot of confidence issues. And I think that's a lot where my self-worth was being tested. I truly felt in high school, I was nasty acne. I had, my hair was all gross. I thought I was not worth something. And I did not speak loud. I didn't use my outdoor voice. I was just like, I didn't think I was worth anything. That totally was the Israel, way back when. I think around my later years in high school, and okay, you're right, it is connected. Here's the connection. When I started playing music, I realized the power I had, and it didn't matter what the hell I looked like, it didn't matter how the hell I sounded, it didn't matter, the brain was doing the talking, it was my creativity, that was cool. I could make people groove. I could make people look at a painting and go, "What?" I could make people laugh with the words that I say, with the ideas that I have. I have this power beyond of just what I look like, and that definitely sprung with creating music, with creating anything, and it only got stronger as I got older. And I apply that to anything. If I ever felt low because I didn't know how to make a decent latte, I'd be like, well, shit, I can't make a decent latte, but I can make a baseline that'll blow your brains out. I can't, might not be able to, might not be able to do calculus and fail it 3 times, but hey, man, I'm pretty decent at drawing. It was, but I definitely became aware of it in high school with all that. I think creating, as soon as I found that secret, as soon as I found out that superpower, how powerful it is and you can overcome everything, it was done. A little self-confidence. It was, it's a beautiful thing. It's a really cool thing.
So when you say it's all about the brain, can you elaborate? I feel like you're also really successful at things you set your mind to, like whatever it is you want to do. I feel like you're successful at that. And that doesn't mean, being on the cover of magazines successful, if that's someone's definition of success. But you're able to accomplish the things that you want to do and be satisfied with them. That's success.
I appreciate that. I do feel that, and it took a lot to get there. But it was the feeling of having, again, something tangible there in front of you, and music. I made an album. man, I made 13 songs with me and my two buddies in the garage. Blood, sweat, and tears into this album. Endless nights of recording, and it sounded like it was coming from the inside of a dumpster, but it was mine. I made it. That's the brain. You know, that's something that like someone else can't take away from you. That's something that, you know, whether you're going through your parents' divorce, or you're going through self-confidence issues, or you're going through breakups, or you're going through it, you question your self-worth or the worth of anything that you make. Like, no one's gonna take away those thoughts you have. Those are absolutely unique. Once I was able to put those out, whether via music or via art, like, when I put all that out, it assured me I guess I do this for myself, to see like, man, like I can do that. That's all the brain. I was never a good runner. My legs don't work that well, and I get tired. My knees are always cracking, popping. I was never a good runner. I was never a good singer. I was never a good blah blah blah. But I could think. I'm a good thinker, and that worked. I made a couple albums because of this cool brain. I made a couple paintings. I made some short stories here and there. I made some friends while doing it. It's a cool brain. That's a cool thing. And I think and this is the cool part. It's not just because my brain's like something special as long as I drink more milk than everybody. No, it's because everyone has such a badass brain. You just gotta really hang out with it. You gotta ask it hard questions. You gotta listen to it. You gotta really be there, in touch with your mind, your thoughts, your ideas, your brain. Everyone has a really cool brain. I just hung out with mine. That's what I mean by the brain. And so the brain is any idea you have set for yourself. It's gonna be you. There's gonna be others involved, but it's gonna start with a real intimate hangout session with your brain. So your brain coming in with cool stuff to do later.
So it seems like you're pretty content with everything that has happened in your life and everything that is, but I'm curious still to ask if you have, or like what you would consider to be your biggest mistake, and have you learned from it, if anything stands out to you.
My biggest mistake? That's a thinker. and the reason it's hard to think is, like, I'm not saying, no, I don't make mistakes. But everything that I have thought was a big old mistake has led to something. Has at least had something cool that came out of it. You know, I mistake, like an actual pinpoint moment that.
Or if you want to talk about how you feel like something was a big mistake at first and then it turned into something completely not a mistake, as you just said. You quite have an example of that.
I can't really pinpoint a mistake. I can tell you about regret. One of my biggest regrets, I guess, the mistake was that I didn't speak louder. I wish I had been just louder. More, I guess, again, more confident with my ideas. Now it's cool, but it's a little more challenging, you know. You got to pay rent, you got to make sure you eat. It's cool, because I can still do things that I like to do. But you know, back then, I just wish just so worried about things that hadn't happened yet. I wish I wasn't so worried about what people were going to think about these ideas that I had. Or I just wish I wasn't so worried all the time. I still get worried, but it's definitely a voice that has gotten quieter and quieter through the years. But my biggest regret is letting that voice be so loud, that worry voice in my head be so loud, and just I don't know. I just wish I was more. I wish I had been more confident, more in the moment with everything, less worried. And what I've learned from that is, time here is dang short, and you just gotta. You can't wait. You can't be scared all the time to do anything because you won't do anything. And I think of just all the music I never made because I was so worried, all the shows I never played, all the stories that people never got to read, all the paintings that just got scrapped and everything. Yeah, I think of all that. And that started young, and that, if I dwell on that thought for long, it'll bum me out. So what I've learned from that is can't make that mistake again. Israel, I guess I'm talking to myself, you can't be scared all the time. I guess it's cool to be cautious, but not debilitatingly scared, not to the point where it's just not gonna, you're not gonna move, you're just gonna be too frightened to say things out loud. That's the biggest mistake I made, is just not talking loud enough.
I like that. With that being said, what would you consider to be your biggest accomplishment?
I've made a lot of wonderful human connections. That's my biggest accomplishment. I mean, my first thing I wanted to say was, I made music, I made cool albums, I made cool paintings, check it out. That's cool, but even better was what happened after I made all that. Was people came to me and they started talking to me. I met people who were interested in the same things. I met people who went through the same things, who had the same ideas, who had similar ideas, who had different ideas. I met so many people. That's my biggest accomplishment. I feel like in a video game, and this is something I have realized recently, and I'm really focusing on now, but I feel like I spent a lot of points on charisma, and not everyone spends points on charisma. Sometimes people spend points on magic or intelligence and repair skills. That's cool, man. That's really cool. I gotta work on those things. But I have a good ability to talk to people and to connect, and as I got older, I took advantage of that. I moved to a lot of different places, and I met a lot of cool people. I met so many different types of people, and so many cool people. That's my favorite thing. Like I can, and then they're friends. The people who I might not talk to every day, but if I saw them, I would be happy, and I would say with confidence, but I'm not sure, but I think they would be happy too. That's a great thing. I think that's awesome. That's my favorite thing that I've accomplished, and not everyone accomplishes something like that. I always thought the best thing is going to be at the end of your life is to be how many people show up at your funeral. I hope mine would be pretty poppin', pretty crowded, and pretty cool. There'll be a lot of cool people. A lot of cool people.
It's all about the connections.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is.
Okay. We're going to wrap this up with some closing questions now.
Okay.
So the first one that is your sun sign?
I don't know. You know what that means? Like
That's
star sign?
No.
I'm a Virgo.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Oh, you've heard it called star sign?
I don't know.
Oh.
You say, hey, what's your sign?
Oh, yeah.
Big stop sign.
Well,
No.
yeah, that's why I said sun sign, just to be more clear.
Oh,
Because if I said what sign, and then you give me some
Star.
hand gesture.
Dang. I'm a Virgo.
Do you know your rising and moon sign by chance?
Negative. Do you know mine?
Well, I've asked you what time you're born. I need the exact
You
time
need
you're
the
born.
time?
Yeah, because like the sun is in a different place depending on what time. If you were born at 12.
I think I've asked my mother this. I think I was born in the morning around 11 a.m. And for some reason that's ringing out in my head. That's the story I'm sticking to.
Okay, we can look it up and figure out what that is. Well, maybe I can include it in the show notes for anyone who's really curious. Okay, if you were stranded on a deserted island, what is one thing you'd want to have with you?
Is it like, can I make stuff? A cell phone that has service and a battery. And I'm not, like, if I'm stranded on the island because I have to be, I won't do a cop out. I'd be like, yeah, we'll call for help. But just like talk to someone. It'd be so lonely. But if that's not an option, then
That's kind of a cool answer. I like that. Like, not to utilize it necessarily.
yeah, it's like if this island is just you cannot find it anywhere, you're done. You're screwed. At least communicate. You know, it'd be so fun. No one would probably want to answer my phone calls after a while because all I want to do is just talk. But I mean, that would be cool. Just a mysterious cell phone that just never dies. Always has reception. Maybe like a game or two. Yeah, that's cheap, I guess. If not, then like, can I like bunch up pen and paper and pencil?
Sure.
That would make sense.
Pen and paper. I like that. Both are good answers. What is one thing that people might know and stuff that you'd be into?
One thing that people Huh. Yeah. Can you help me out with that? Do you know?
So
I'm into people doing like reckless things for love. No, look, not if it hurts someone. Like if you're hurting other people, that sucks. But like if you like quit your job because the girl of your dreams is, you guys just need to be together. I think that's cool. I wouldn't do it. I'd be cautious with what I do. But I think the crazy shit that people do for love is super fun. Like, it's cool. A lot of people like to talk shit about it. Like, man, that dude's crazy. They're just wild people. But I think that's a cool thing, man. To just love someone or something so much, you do silly things. And again, like, you love someone so much you're gonna run over somebody. Like, no, that does not happen. Don't hurt anybody. But like, I think that's a cool thing. Again, I feel like that just gets a lot of hate. People are like, man, this guy does some stupid stuff for love, but I think it's a cool thing. It's underappreciated. Do silly things for love. It's nice. But you didn't know that. But
like this, I like hearing stories about people who do wild things for love.
just wild people who do wild things for love. I like that. That's cool. That's a cool thing.
I like that. I learned something new about you.
Thanks.
What are some routines or habits that you have that make you feel like your best self?
I feel like that's a question that has changed a lot over the years. So now, speaking in present terms, I always just like to. Something I can say that I've done every day for the last 2 years is I always want to scribble something for someone. Always gotta, whether it's a quick idea or thought, it's a random thought. Like, I wonder why that guy likes the Walgreens down the street so much. Just a post-it note in your car, or a couple doodles, little lines here and there. I like, to me it feels important to just always put something onto someone. Always make sure that you're, for a lack of better terms, getting it out. Whether it's just, again, a thought that you thought is mundane. It might just be mundane, but just get it out. Empty out some of that brain space. That's something I like to do, every day in some sort of ways, just to make sure I give myself. Sometimes it's longer. I'll give myself an hour to just write, draw, do stuff. But sometimes it's like I don't have time. I'm traveling. I'm going here and there to see family. I'm not traveling far. I'm just traveling to McDonald's. Just want to make sure I'm writing something, I'm drawing something. I want to make sure I'm not keeping it all in there. That's me.
What's the best piece of advice anyone has ever given you?
My mom had always told me, choose your battles. Choose your battles. And that has taken so many different connotations and forms throughout my whole life, but throughout my whole life it has always just felt right. It's always been the right thing in any situation to me. It's choose your battles. Just some things are just not worth making war about. It's just, you gotta choose your battles. You don't always have to fight. You don't always have to be so angry. Just choose your battles. I think if everyone chose their battles and really had that in mind, so choose your battles, there'd be no battles. Because I think in the end, there's nothing that crazy you have to do something about, for the most part. Choose your battles. That's something my mom always said. That's a cool thing.
What's a book, movie, podcast, or any sort of resource that has inspired you and that you would recommend to listeners?
Sirens of Titan by Vonnegut. Oh man, that there's a book that just starts off so cool and it ends so cool, and in the middle it's so cool. Sirens of Titan by Vonnegut just tells you how quick and this life can be, and that not everything has to be so meaningful. Sometimes things just are. You gotta learn to live with that and be your best self. There's a lot more to that story. It goes crazy. It's a little bit of a sci-fi novel, but it's awesome. Go out and read it. That's such a good book. It's great. You cried it. Who does that in a book? You cry it. I was outside in the backyard and I had to look around because I was just crying. I had a book there. That's wicked. That's cool.
What's next for you?
Art. Lots of art. Right now, something's happening in my brain that's telling me, you gotta paint more. You gotta draw more. That feels good right now. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm feeling. So I guess that's what I'm doing. What's next for me? Just a bunch of art. There should be some music here. There's gonna be some writing here. There's gonna be some reading always.
And lastly, where can people find you? Any social media links and whatnot?
Yes, currently I'm being a hermit. You can find me I'm about to give my address. No, I'm just kidding. But you can find me at home, or you can text me. Hey, dude, say what's up. But soon I will be bringing it all back up because I think it's time to come back to planet Earth. On my Instagram, it is for shiz. IZZFORSHIZZ, all one word, is for shiz on Instagram, and that's all. That's for you can, from there. I'm pretty open at where I'm at, what I'm doing. You can keep up with me there, and then if you want to say what's up even further, just message me. Say, hey, what's up? How you doing? Take you on all sorts of journeys through Instagram.
This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Israel.
Thanks, dude, for having me.
Alright guys, that's the end of the episode. One of the coolest things that Israel said was that everyone has a really badass brain. That made me smile just hearing that, because everyone does have a really badass brain. And the perspective he shared was that we just need to ask our brains challenging questions and cool questions and figure out what we like. And those are the things that help us form our identities, basically. As he said in the episode, he hasn't always been someone who had the most self-confidence, but for as long as I've known him, I always feel like I've seen him as someone who does check in with himself and knows what he wants. If he isn't sure about something, then he spends some time and meditates on it. And I feel like that's what sets him up for success in whatever he does, because he's sure about himself. He might not have everything planned out from A to Z for the day or the future, but he has this certainty about himself and the things he values and the kind of person he wants to be. And I feel like he carries that with him wherever he goes and in everything he does. And that's part of why I admire him so much. Today is also a special day because not only was I joined by a really cool guest who just happens to be my best friend, but today is also his birthday. Originally, I wasn't planning on releasing this episode until several weeks from now, but I figured it would be a fun surprise to have this pop up in his subscription feed. So I just want to take a minute to say happy birthday, Israel. You've been one of my biggest supporters with this podcast and everything I do, and I'm so grateful to have you in my life. You should also take today as the day to make your Instagram public already, so everyone can go stalk you after listening to this episode. Alright, have a good rest of your week, everyone. I'll catch y'all next Wednesday.